back to my favorite show on TV. This is Severance. If you don't have Apple TV, go get it. First 2 episodes of the season, kind of slow. Then I saw episode 3. It was my favorite episode. Then I saw episode 4. And I'm just like, this might be the best Severance episode since season 1, episode 9. It was crazy. But let's start with episode 3 and just give me a reaction to episode 3, because I do think there was a lot to unpack there, even though it might be overshadowed by episode 4.
Yeah, even us just talking about it, my mind is just so like in tune with episode 4 that I just completely forgot about episode 3. So in episode 3, and it's funny because I text you about this, we start to see some things unravel in episode 3, and I ended up texting. I was like, yo, your theory about, and I know there was like opposing views throughout the community on whether or not is Helly or Helena, right? And it was a scene where her interaction with Mark and how awkward she was, as if it wasn't natural. And I'm like, and I text you like, yeah, your theory's spot on. This is definitely Helena. It's definitely not Helly. Absolutely not. I'm on board with your theory. I'm on board with what you got going on, and then we kind of just see how things kind of just start to pan out in that episode, especially with the former manager meeting up with Helena, right? With the car scene,
driving, and she makes the
drives
U-turn,
in, and then she was like, yeah, let's have you go meet with the board now. And then she peeps something, and she's like, and then she takes a couple steps back with the realization of something that may be fearful to her, and she goes back into her car. I felt like that was probably the most important part of that episode, because it's like, what even made her someone that seems so fearless that speaks her mind to be like, I'm not gonna go into this car with you guys while Helena is just looking with the creepy smile. Is this something that is gonna alter her in some shape or form, right? Probably somehow, take her consciousness, upload the chip, and just refabricate her in some shape or form. I don't know. But there's definitely some interesting parts in episode 3 for sure. But those are probably the biggest takeaways from me just watching it. What about you?
Yeah. Well, first thing I want to do is I don't have the actress's name in front of me right now, but like Helena, like she's so good in this series. Like when she's Helena, like she's so chilling and like ominous in a sense. Like she doesn't look physically imposing, but you can feel it. You know what I'm saying? Like just how she delivers her lines. You know what I mean? Versus Helly, like how like upbeat and like giddy she is. So it's just like the switch, like Mark on the inside and outside. I don't think he's acting that different. You know what I'm saying? We didn't get like Irving. Irving to me is not that different. But Helly and Helena, it's so different that I just think she's killing as an actress. But for me, I think, and the awkward moment you're talking about. That was the kiss, right? When they were about to like kiss and they didn't kiss. Was that in episode 3?
That was in episode 3, but it was in a like just staring at each other awkwardly, good. And then the way she was talking, and just the way she was just, I was like, yeah, this is pretty awkward.
Yeah. So like I said, I've been thinking it was Helena, and then like that was a moment where I'm just like, look how awkward this is. I'm like, it would not be that awkward, right? Helly is so confident. She just goes out. She's a go-getter. Like it wouldn't be that weird. But the scene that really stands out to me is the milkshake scene. When he gets honored, and then they give him like the painting of Kier. Yeah, like this is a guy who's all in, right? Like he's like ride or die. But that seemed like it really shook him. And I'm just like, why is Milchick so awkward right now? You would think that he would be so happy, but he really, it didn't seem like he was feeling that. And what was crazy to me was Natalie, the one who's always talking to the board, right? And she, like she was trying to smile, but her lip was like quivering, almost like in fear, because she was telling him she remembered the moment when she, like, basically she got this award as well, but she seems so fearful. And I know people are saying it on the internet, but it does remind me of the lady from Get Out, right? Like just the eyes and how she looked. Like her lip was just quivering as she was telling him, like she was trying to put on a smile, but she looked fearful to me. Like whatever they did to her, like she's just imagining them doing it to him, and it's almost like she's scared for him. So I thought that was kind of crazy. And I'm
Oh,
just
what
like,
about the scene where they went to visit the other department
yeah,
and they ask for, of course, where Mark's wife is, and they're dealing with the animals. I refer to them as the goat people, right? The goat folks.
mhm,
And there's a moment there where they kind of, talk about just they didn't want to reveal the information, right? But it was weird, and I don't know if it was just supposed to be, oh, this is just some sort of joke. But the actress that was in Game of Thrones, she was probably the head person there. I forget the actress name. And then she was like, "Can you lift up your shirts?" right?
mhm,
To each of them. And then the guy, she's like, "Look, there, it's not the pouch people that you're looking for." And the guy looks, and it's like
yeah,
ominous, but it kind of just stared down at him like, it was pretty weird,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like, in that sense, like, what are they looking for? Is there a certain group of people that kind of stands out within the Lumen community or Lumen company that kind of is separate, and that's who he's trying to refer to them as? It was just kind of weird and awkward to me,
yeah,
Did you
yeah.
think anything, or did you just like, it's just a regular, just a funny moment supposed to be?
No, so two things about that scene. This I don't think means anything, but like when they did and they lift up their shirts, I couldn't see Helena's belly button. And I was just like, I don't know why when I was watching it, I'm like, you can't see her belly button. Something's wrong. She's not. I don't know. I don't know, but it was. I think it's just the way her skirt was like high, like, But I'm saying, like, you can't see her belly button. Something's off about her. But no, I think I believe I said I think they may be cloning people or growing people. I think Miss Wong may be grown in a factory or however you want to describe that. But I think as their babies, there might be some people literally carrying them in pouches like marsupials, like a kangaroo. And
Mm,
so I think they may really be, and I think that department may have saw that, and that might be part of the goats, right? Because like goats are like synonymous historically with like cloning and just a whole lot of other ominous stuff, but cloning is like one of the things. But maybe they legitimately need the milk from the goats for the babies as they're to nourish them as they're growing and they're in the pouches. So they may have come to this
mm,
department, they may have seen these pouch people, and and those people can't be natural either, right? So they saw something. I don't think it's a joke. I think they saw something, or at least thought they saw something. And I think at some point in time we're gonna get a reveal of somebody with a pouch, and I don't know who it's gonna be, but I think they were dead serious about that.
right. Same here. That was really weird, And I think that yeah, those are probably like the biggest parts. And then of
Yeah.
course, which is going to go into episode 4, is Irving's conversation with the lady, the older lady, right?
Hmm.
Which
Hmm.
I found interesting is, where Irving brings up the hallway,
Hmm.
and she's like, "Oh, like, have you been down this hallway?" He's like, "No," just kind of appears to him in the dream, which goes back to season 1, where Irving's Audi in the hallways, right? Like where we seen the scene, and and it kind of begs the question, where does Irving's Audi stand in all this, right? Because it seems like he has a lot of information, right? With the maps
Hmm.
in season 1, the list of the severed people. I believe it was him that had the list of the severed people. And then, but what that also kind of told me is, how is Irving getting these dreams? Is there something within the subconscious that's flowing through to
Hmm.
Irving? So that was
Yeah.
actually pretty interesting to me too. In that episode,
Yeah.
when he was talking to her.
I have a theory, but I'm gonna wait till we kind of cross over into episode 4, and then I'm gonna tell you the theory. One thing I want to point out was like what they've done with like the wellness room and made it like the Audi family visitation room, and now we
Mhm.
kind of see Dylan sabotaging because he got a small taste of the outside world, but not as much of the others. He wants to like meet his outside family, and we see them meet up with his outside wife, right?
Right.
And the outside wife seems like she's so happy. She's like, I'm so happy for you. I'm so proud of you. She basically tells him that the outside Dylan, not as good as keeping jobs as you are. And so he's
He's an
basically like,
F-up.
yeah, yeah, exactly. He's like, I'm Afro. Yeah. So I foresee the Audi, I think Gretchen was her name. I think Audi Gretchen may fall in love with any Dylan. And I think it's gonna create a weird
Absolutely.
dynamic, right?
100%. Yeah, they're
E-
playing on that. Yeah.
even the part at the when she was leaving and she was like, "I love you," and it was kind of weird for him. She was like, "Yo, have it." But then when we saw her with Audi Dylan and she was going to work because she worked some kind of night shift, looks like she could be an officer of some sort, and she left. She never told him that she loved him.
Yeah, it was just like, and then when he asked how did it go, he's like, oh, she was like, oh, she kind of like downplayed it a bit, like it was just regular. So it's
Yeah.
definitely showing that dynamic that and that seems to be the consistent trend of the show, right? That the dynamic between the innies and outies, and the outies in some cases wanting what the innies want and what the innies want the outies want. And I'll get into it in
Yeah.
really episode
Yeah.
4, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So let me ask you this because I would think like, all right, so Mark is really the ringleader, but to me, when it comes to the revolt, Helly is the ringleader. From day one, she's just been on her bully, like, nah, she's just been, rebellious. But to me, Dylan was like the most ride or die. Like he was really down, you know what I'm saying? Like, but now that we see Dylan doing a bit of self-sabotage and kind of like focused on his own priorities, do you think Dylan can ultimately not bring the group down, but do you think later on in the show, at some point in time, like he's really a traitor to the group because he wants to see his outside family, or do you think, nah, he's gonna fall back in suit?
See, after episode 4, I want to say he's gonna fall back in suit, but then there's just that lingering tie that he has where they can kind of dangle over him, like this is, you know what I mean? And I could see him compromising the group in some capacity or some way, maybe ultimately redeem himself. But what's crazy? I actually think like Irvin is that guy that's like, yo, he's the trailblazer to me. Because
Yeah,
even in season 1, yeah, Helly was the one that started, like, yeah, we should, but it was Irvin was the one like, nah, let's burn this shit to the ground. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Especially with his
literally,
lover, like,
yeah,
being quote unquote going to the abyss, right?
hmm
And being permanently severed. I feel like Irvin was the guy that, and it really showed more in episode 4 too,
yeah.
so
So the episode ends with Mark's reintegration, right? That's episode
yes,
3. Ends with the reintegration.
the
I
procedure.
forgot I forgot the lady's name, but it was the same one who killed the dude from Lumen in season 1. So now jump into episode 4. What do you believe is the timeline of that? How long after Mark's reintegration is that? Do you believe?
I believe it probably could have been as long as a couple weeks, maybe a few
Mhm,
days. I
mhm,
don't foresee it being. It definitely wasn't that long because of
mhm.
what we see in episode 4. It couldn't
Yeah,
be
yeah.
that long.
Okay, okay,
I would say
okay.
maybe a couple days, maybe as long as 2 weeks, maybe. But I would say is that no, it's definitely short. Maybe a week, anywhere from
Yeah,
2 days to a week, maybe.
yeah. I would have to lean towards a week or less as well, just because obviously we see that it's still not perfect, right? We
Exactly.
see that there's the tent scene with him and Helena, and he sees Miss Casey Gemma, like a flashback of Miss Casey Gemma.
Mhm.
So I don't think it's been that long, but all right. So let's set the scene, right? So now it starts. They're all like in this Arctic kind of setting. They're out. The innies are outdoors, right? But and it's just real weird, man. It's like centered around like Dieter Egan and all that, and he was like the twin of he was Kier's twin or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Karen had a twin dater, yeah, and then he reached to us. Well,
yeah,
Milchick reached like kind of like incident where theater goes out into the woods and masturbate essentially, and they make a joke, But since we're on this specific topic, let me ask you this: do you think the location or where they're at? Do you think that's an actual location or
nope,
what? Okay, because
nope.
I'm on the same boat as you. I think it's some sort of simulation. I don't
Similar,
think it's
exactly.
real, right?
Yeah,
Especially when we see kind of like the simulate. Like, do you think those are robots? Do you think those are simulations? Like, kind of like the clones to kind of reflect, oh, those are their twins,
yeah.
they're double
I,
gangers. What do you think?
I initially thought they were like some kind of hologram, but I guess maybe they're like robots. Maybe I thought they were holograms,
I
right?
thought they were kind of holograms
Yeah,
too. You
but
know,
but I think they're robots, and somebody said this to me. Somebody that I know that watched the show said this to me. They was like, whatever the thing they're having is like an anagram for robot. The ORBT, whatever Milchick called it. You know what I'm saying? The out
Okay.
of office retreat, whatever it was called. The letters are an anagram for robot, so they could potentially be robots, right? But
Okay.
I saw them as like holograms.
Yeah, I still think they are holograms. Just the way
Yeah.
they translucent, the way they
Mhm.
looked, how they
And
were
if you looked at
appearing.
their feet didn't even look like planted on the ground. It looked like it was just like,
Exactly.
yeah. So I thought they were like robots, but I do think it's a simulation. And I think what points to that the most for me is I'm thinking Irving when he goes out and he sleeps in the cold like that. Like, bro, he would have died. He would have got hypothermia, bro. Like, there's just no way he would have survived that, which leads me to believe maybe it's not really that cold because it is just like a simulation room. Maybe the AC is cranked up real high. I don't know. But I don't think they're really outdoors because how would you have gotten their bodies out? Like, how would you have gotten them outdoors, then changed into that? While they just never knew, you know what I'm saying? Because if you turn it off, then it's their outies, you know what I'm saying? So like, how did you get them knocked out for long enough to?
So this is the thing though, because remember the episode starts with the ding as if they're going up in an elevator. So it seems like
Mhm.
there is a switch between their outies and innies, which initially made me think, oh, their outies went out there and they just swapped, like changed their chips back into their innie forms. That's what I initially thought. But then I'm like, I'm starting to see the holograms. I see Irving's dream. I'm like, nah, maybe it's just a simulation somehow. You know,
Mhm.
maybe they had their innies somehow just go somewhere which is not that location, wear that, and then they switch them into the innies. So I'm in agreement with you. I feel like there's just too much pointing to, there's a lot of evidence just pointing to this just being some sort of simulation or plane of existence that does not exist in the outside world,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
At all.
Because their
Oh,
outies
go
would
ahead.
never, their outies would never agree to that. Like, oh yeah, you're just gonna be gone for a couple days as you're any. Like, no, like they wouldn't agree to it. So it's just weird, right? But
Right,
yeah,
right, and then like you mentioned, what you mentioned a point of like the cold, but also what was weird to me is like the scene where Irving kind of like grabbed, and we'll probably get into this with Helena, but the scene with the water, right? Like with the potential drowning, that was kind of, I'm like, man, is it really a simulation? Because he's
yeah,
practically almost, drowning her. So it's kind of like
yeah, yeah. No,
that's the only part that kind of had me like, maybe
I
it's
get
so
that.
sophisticated, maybe it's so
So
sophisticated that it can, you know.
yeah, so I get that. So I think when I say it's a simulation, I mean it's not like VR, but I think they're still in lumens, like building somewhere is what I'm trying to say. Like I know it seems hard because the setting seems so large, but there's just so much about lumen we don't know. Like what if they went
True.
through that elevator room and you know what I'm saying? I think they're still on lumen premises somewhere. Like I
Right.
don't think they're that far on any kind of retreat or anything. But since we're talking about the drowning, so we kind of get the reveal we've been waiting for. So here's how it goes down, right? Like Bert, I mean not Bert. Irving's not letting up.
Yeah.
He's still pressing Helly about what she saw on the outside, and she's still not telling him. She's saying it's gardeners. He starts asking him stuff about these night gardeners, like what were they wearing, what were they doing, asking all these questions, right? And then she says to him, like, yo, he's just mad because like basically Bert's gone. He won't ever get to see him again. And I was just like, damn. I was
Yeah,
like,
she tried to and did you see how her face shifted into like her true
Mhm.
self? Like when she
Yeah,
just lowers and then
yeah. So,
I'm not gonna lie, Mark is the most idiotic. I have to say this. He's the most idiotic person, any Mark, most idiotic person in the world. How
yeah,
does he
so
not see this? Like, you know what I mean? Like, but go
yeah,
ahead.
so I'm like, wow, that's kind of cold. Irving is mad, right? He leaves and he goes, sleeps in the cold, and then we're gonna get back to his return in a second. But so Mark and Helena hook up, right?
Right.
So they hook up and it's kind of weird because the editing was weird, but I know they did it intentionally. We saw Irving walking, all of a sudden we see like some weird thing on the screen, and it ends up being like their hand. Do you remember that editing scene right
Yes.
there? So that
Yes.
was super weird for me. I was just like, okay,
Yeah.
nevertheless. So whatever that they hook up, you know, he gets the little flash of Gemma,
Mhm.
and then that is why I'm saying I don't think the reintegration could have happened more than a week. I feel like if it was more than a week out, I feel like that wouldn't be happening, right? Because I can't remember her name at the moment, but she clearly told him that she's gotten significantly better at doing this since she did it for Petey, right? I'm
Mhm.
gonna get back to that in a second, but so Irvin comes back, and this is the scene. This is what we've really been waiting for, right? But when he's out in the woods, he
Mhm.
makes himself have a dream, like intentionally. So it's
Like
like
he
that's like
was in a
how did
dream
he know?
state.
How did he know to do that?
This is what I'm saying. I think it's something maybe subconsciously that he undergoes. I don't know, because he has this some sort of subconscious connection between his outie self and his innie self, going back to the
Mm,
point with the hallway. And clearly he can get some sort of messages that's linked to, of course, Lumen somehow, because it's the scene where, he see his, former lover, and then he sees this creepy older woman, I don't know, that just looks decrepit, and she's typing. And then he
mm,
sees like these letters and numbers on the screen, which forms into like some sort of face. I can't really make it out, but then the decrepit creature or woman just kind of appears right next to him. He wakes up, and immediately he just starts kind of like, he gets this revelation, I guess, that he's now confident that, it's Helena, she's an Egan, like, you know what I mean?
mhm.
So I don't know
Yeah,
how he's doing it, but
yeah.
it
Okay.
kind of like leads him to. But I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
Yes. So when you get a chance, watch the scene again. If you watch
Mhm.
the scene again, the image is Helena's face.
Oh, okay,
Like,
okay,
like
okay,
you
okay,
can see the facial structure starts out as like you can see it. It looks, if you really look at it, it looks just like her. And
okay. But
then,
how did he put two and two together? Like Helena is Egan, right? Like Helly is
bro,
now Helena and is Egan. Like, how did he
okay.
get to
So for this video, before we put this video out, just make sure you clip the image in here, right? And,
that?
and when you watch, like, make sure you clip the image in here. We'll find it on the internet somewhere. You see her face, and it goes from that, like her face, to an eye, but all the letters start turning to like E, A, G, A, and not in order though. They're
Ah,
they're out of order, but they are only the letters in Egan.
got it.
So
Okay,
as I
okay.
was watching it, I had to like pause it, rewind it, and look at it, and the numbers as well.
Mm.
The
Okay,
numbers.
okay, 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 okay,
So
okay.
there's a couple things. The letters all translate to the letters that are in Egan, and the
Mhm.
numbers are literally the numbers that like for their place. Like for example, A, right? So there's a one there. E,
Right.
there's a five there. So they're all the numbers that like what the alphabetical order
Okay,
of
that
like the
spells
letters.
out to Egan essentially, and that's
Exactly.
how he
But
want, and
yeah,
that's how he.
yeah.
Okay,
Watch it
okay,
again.
okay.
You're gonna see it. You're gonna see instantly now. I told you, like, okay, I can see her face in it. Okay, I see the letters. Those are the letters that are in Egan. These numbers line up. Like five is E, seven is G. It's like G is the set. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
those things. You're gonna see it if you watch it again. But now he knows for a fact, right? And he comes back and he's on it. And
Hmm.
then now, bro, this is like, and I'm shocked that they gave us this reveal this early. I thought they were gonna play it out for the whole season. I thought the season could have possibly ended, and we wouldn't know for sure, and we would still have to speculate: is it or is it not? Because I'm not gonna lie, in episode three, the goats when they were with the goat people, she felt like Helly. That didn't feel like Helena. That felt like Helly when they were kind of like going back and forth with the goat people.
Hmm.
So I'm just like, yo,
They could have
I'm
really
like that
played on that. They
that
really
kind
could
of
have.
tripped me up a little bit. I'm like, yo, is this Helly? But they gave us the reveal in episode four, and it's not. It's Helena, which opens up so many more questions. Like, so why did she sleep with Mark? Was it intentional? And then this brings me back to episode three. When I saw her looking at the video of them
Yes.
kissing, initially, I was just like, I'm like, okay, Helena on the outside, she's just been poised to be this next person to run this company. She's never really felt love and time. I thought maybe she was jealous. Then I changed my mind. I'm like, no, she's studying the behaviors. So when she goes in there, she act with Helly's mannerisms and characteristics, right? But now I'm like, no, I do think she's a bit like jealous. She wants to feel like, because she's never felt anything. And I kind of think this is why she goes all the way with Mark. And I could be wrong, but that's just my theory. You know what I mean? She's always just been
Mhm.
the successor. Her whole life's been about being a successor. She's never had the time to love, feel emotion. You know what I mean? That's why she's so emotionless on the outside.
I agree. I agree. I actually think, it's kind of like the same concept with Dylan, right? Wanting what his outside version has. And I think it's the same with Helena. I think she sees something that her innie has that she kind of wants in a sense, and she wants to see. So there's this conflict here, which actually makes it even better when you're watching the TV series now, because now you see a character that's probably more complex than we initially gave her credit for. Right. And one thing is also because the fact that we got this reveal so early shows that Helena is going to play more of a role moving forward, just not the way we think. So I think her going all the way with Mark, maybe initially she was trying to have Mark kind of complete what he needs to complete, right? The projects within Lumen. But the fact that she went this far and the fact that we got this reveal tells me that she kind of wanted what Helly wanted, right? In that sense, especially like you nailed it on the head, right? Her coming
Yeah.
from, an Egan, being part of an Egan, right? And then just the fact that, and there's just so much to unpack in episode 4, right? With just all the other Egans, the twin brother now, right? With the previous theories you mentioned, but that's my take. So I agree 100% with what you're saying.
Yeah. And then so Irving's like, yo, who would have the power to send a Audi down here with the innies? Right. And at this point, it's like he kind of knew, but he was now just confirming, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Then all hell breaks loose. He's like, she's an Egan, bro. Did you think she was gonna kill him, or did you think things were gonna go the way it went?
Who? If Irving was gonna kill
No,
Helena?
no. Did you think Helena was gonna kill Irving once he found out, or did you think he was gonna like I guess be able to like manhandle her the way he did?
Nah, I felt like he was gonna manhandle her the way he did.
Bro,
I didn't think.
I thought she was gonna kill him and like try to shut him up before. I thought she was, I thought she was gonna kill him, and I thought she was gonna play it like some crazy way, like, oh my god, she just found him. Like I thought she was gonna kill him, and she just
Nah,
looked so like she looked
yeah,
so
she
like
was so serious. I could see that in her cold nature, but the way he caught her off guard and she was trying so hard to convince him otherwise, he was the only odd one out. And I felt like she was just trying to convince it was going to be a 3-on-1, like he mentioned. Oh, now it's a 3-on-1. I felt like she was trying her best to isolate Irvin. And I do think maybe a part of her was thinking like, man, I can probably convince Irvin that, I am Helly and we can kind of keep this thing going, but and then once he caught her off guard and he was in the woods, I was like, yeah, it's nothing she could do. There's nothing,
yeah,
and then kind of risk the whole situation blowing out of control, wiping them out here and there. I was like, it's probably
yeah.
unlikely. So
Yeah, so whatever, like he exposes her, blows her cover, calls Milchick, the scene where he's like drowning her, and then she breaks character finally. She's like, Seth, just do it. Right. And we know like the other people who aren't severed, they call him Seth, right? Because Natalie calls him Seth. So she's like, Seth, just do it. And he's like, Irving's like, yeah, Seth, do it. And he says whatever he says about the Glasgow thing. So it seems like her severance is different, right? They're using some sort of not necessarily a switch, but like a blocker or something. I mean, we need more information on that. But so the reveal, it is Helena, right? It's not Helly. This is Helena. But they do turn Helly back on, right? But I think Milchick's done, bro. Cobell said it like last episode. She's like, he does not have what it takes. This dude almost just got the next CEO of Lumen killed, bro. I think Milchick's in trouble. I
yeah,
think
he's
he's in-
definitely in trouble. You know what I mean? And it really like begs, like, I don't know. It really, I wonder really what's going to happen. And I feel like Urban, let me ask you this before we go into Milchick, right? Do you think Urban's done? Do you think like do you see him the possibility of him returning to the story? And if so, do you think is it better off that way, or is it better off, with less plot armor?
I think he will return, and I'm trying. I've been googling, and I'm trying to find the lady's name, the lady who just reintegrated Mark. But my theory is she's gotten more practice because I believe the person she were able to reintegrate before Mark is Irving.
Yeah, I believe Irving is some sort of, because he has too much information. He has the maps, he has the severed list, he has the architect of the building, Lumen. You know, so he's either worked with Lumen in the past, and then on top of that, like he might either be one of those individuals that's probably like trying to investigate Lumen. I don't know, but for me, that's a good theory because even on the phone, like when he goes to the phone, which I believe is in episode 3, he goes to the phone, makes a phone call, you know, and you know he's talking to someone, so he's working with someone as well. But I do believe he is against Lumen, the company. I truly
Yeah,
believe that. I believe Irvin is, you know, and him, and who knows? Because all the painting, maybe he has some sort of connection. He might have found a way to communicate with his innie to pass on messages. Hence the reason why the innie knows the hallway, right? So,
yeah,
yeah. Actually, that's a good theory. Like, I wouldn't have guessed that he's working with her, but I do know that he's definitely against Lumen because of that
yeah. So
connection between the two, you know?
So Ragabi, that's her name, Ragabi. I feel like, so she had the PD mess up, right? PD's reintegration wasn't that good, but she specifically said to Mark, "I've had practice." So who else would she have had practice on? It's only the Lumen people. So
Yeah,
who else would she have gotten a chance to practice on for her to be better at reintegrating people since
that's a
PD?
good point.
So just based on all Irving's knowledge, as you just told us, I'm thinking she may have reintegrated Irving. So that's just my theory, right? She may have reintegrated Irving, and that may have been the practice that she had, and he's been looking good up to this point, right? Whatever she
Mhm.
did. So that's my guess, but I definitely don't think he's out of the story. But they're going to have to find ways to work together on the outside. And I think that's where Mark's reintegration is going to come into play. He's going to find Irving on the outside. I don't think we're going to see Irving back in.
Just froze. I cut it
Okay.
out. But yeah, you just OD froze. I don't know what happened, but
Okay. Okay. But I was saying, I do think Irving's done on the inside. I don't think we're going to see him again on the inside until like they're literally burning Lumen down. But I do think him and Mark are going to connect on the outside. I think Mark's
okay.
going to be very emotional and very distraught now, and then especially when the reintegration comes fully through and Mark realized what his innie did. I think he's going to be a little bit messed up about the whole Gemma thing because I don't think Audi Mark would have slept with somebody else.
Yeah, yeah, I do agree with that. And I think even any mark before prior to the integration, right, or him fully integrating with his Audi form, I think it's gonna be awkward between him and Helly because he didn't even realize it was Helena he was sleeping with, you know, and then it
Mm-hmm.
may have him even question, dang, was Helena really that bad of a person? You know, the conversation they had with her saying, yeah, I don't like who I am, you know, just maybe he's
Mm-hmm.
found some sort of connection, right, with her. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we'll just have to wait and see, man. Have to wait
Yeah,
and
yeah.
see.
Yeah, for sure. Episode 4 was amazing. And, when it started out, I'm like, all right, we're not going to get much. I'm like, it's going to be small stuff. Then, bro, they just flipped the switch on us. And I was just like, man, this is crazy. Like I said, it's probably, my opinion, maybe the best episode since season 1, episode 9.
Yeah.
So, any which way, jump in the comment section. Tell us your best theories. Tell us what you made of these last 2 episodes, episode 3 and episode 4. Are you enjoying Severance? Is it too slow for you? Did it really just pick up and change gears? Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. 2 cents short of $1. More videos coming soon.